Okay, I think we are now live, ready for our session with our special guest, hopefully. So I think we've got some people joining. Hi, Jess. Big shout out to Jess. Say thank you so much for all the work today, Jess. She's really been behind a lot of the postings and everything. So thanks for that. Got some more people. Hi, everybody. Come on in. Just waiting for our special guest to arrive. Hi, Jess. Okay, I know this is a bit boring me. So yeah, big shout out to the team today. The team has done an amazing job. Everyone behind the scenes. I know that some of the pre-recorded videos have been a little bit slow getting up onto the platform, but hopefully sometime this evening you'll be able to see everything. All the live sessions that we've done today will be available on the Instagram TV on this channel. So you should be able to catch up with them. I know that I've actually missed a few, so I'm looking forward to catching up them as well. So hang on. Sunny's done it the other way round. She's hold on a second. Okay. Hold on a second. I've got to. She's gone live. I'm just trying to get her gone. So Sunny's gone live on her own channel. There we are. Hi, Sunny. So Sunny, if you can just request to join. Yes, here we go. There we go. So hopefully, just Sunny will be joining us now. Oh, okay. This is the beauty of that we're not used to.
I don't know.
Here we are. We've got some
now.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, guys. So for those who have been living under a rock and don't know who you are,
They might have met us under a rock.
I don't know. Sunny and Peter have been involved with Amicus for as long as I've been with Amicus, so that's quite a long time.
Really? Is it that long?
So I think so. Or shortly
Are we
after
patrons? I think we're patrons.
Yes, you are patrons. You think you are?
I seem to remember that we were made patrons at some stage.
Hi, everybody.
Sunny and Peter
I don't know
are
how
wonderful
to.
patrons.
I can't text and do this. So I'm just saying hi to all the people I see.
You can speak. They can hear you.
Uh-huh.
And so anyone you see that you want to shout out, you can. Yeah, lots of people there giving you some love. So throughout today, actually, your names have been mentioned in many of the live sessions that we've had today.
Oh, cool.
Oh, really?
So it's wonderful that you could join us this evening from sunny Ireland.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
It is sunny Ireland
It's
too.
so hot. It's unbelievable.
Like 30 degrees.
Yeah. We're all melting. I can't believe how composed everyone's looking.
That's right.
We do our sweat for justice. We were just saying that it's like gives a new meaning to sweating for justice here.
Yeah.
We'll all just sit in the gardens and do Instagram lives to sweat for justice.
I really enjoyed the morning session watching Jane Officer. That was really nice, and listening to her story from her own perspective was really nice. I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know I talk about Jane's story all the time, but it's great to have her.
It gives strength to the idea that one person can change things. One person can do something that will cause great change, and she has done. With Amicus, and the people that Amicus have helped, and impressed and work with Amicus and support Amicus.
Yeah. Everybody who gets involved is a Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've coined a new phrase.
Yeah.
So, right now, I don't know how it is for people the volunteers in the U.S. I just know it is so hot over there. We think it's hot here, but it's even hotter there. It's unbelievable.
And I was just thinking about all of the people, not only on death row, but who are incarcerated with no air conditioning in 40
Yes.
plus degrees heat.
It's
Yes,
torture.
yes.
It's just
torture.
unbelievable. Yeah.
I was talking with some of the we have Exoneree groups that we chat together, you know, to kind of give each other support and community. And I was saying, oh, July 4th, what was your favorite food treat on the holidays? You know, because on the holidays in prison, they do give you some sort of little treat. Corn on the cob was a big one. And yeah, and well, and then people started talking about what did you do in the heat, and various innovations on the same theme. Mainly, you would get on the floor, and if you were in your own cell, you like death row, you would flood the floor with water, and then lay in on the wet floor, and put wet towels on you, and
Just to try and cool
lay
down.
right by the door, the crack in the door, so that maybe some air would come in and cool you down. That's what you'd have to do.
Yeah. So I
Yep.
didn't actually properly introduce you guys, so you didn't quite get that. So not only are they amazing patrons and supporters of Amicus and have been amazing and generous supporters throughout the year, and also being great friends of mine as well, and personal support for me and my children. So thank you on a personal level. But also both Peter and Sunny spent a long time, both of them on death row, respectively in Ireland and for Sunny in Florida, and are now both innocent as well, and are now obviously free and living together in Ireland. And I also always joke that Sunny and Peter's is our favourite love story as well. Not only they found each other.
It's mine too.
Yeah,
it's our favourite love story as well.
Do you want to can you just maybe
Well,
we could just tell that story actually, because that's sort of like often that comes at the end of our talk.
Yeah, that'd be a change from all that gloom and doom stuff. But you know, we especially during this pandemic time realized even more how blessed we really are. You know, because people who are on their own during this time, it's been very hard, and we were just so amazed that because of the isolation and the lockdowns and the quarantines, that our experience being locked up became relevant to like the rest of the world. It was just so amazing to us.
It was almost like we'd been trained for this. And so, and this is actually luxury for us because we're together and we like being together and with each other. And we live in a very beautiful place and we have our animals about.
We have our food.
And we have our food. We grow some of our own food. And we're very happy. And one of the happiest things I have to say about the pandemic for me personally is we don't have to travel.
Which is partly what we make you do as well.
Traveling to London is not a big deal. But you know, when the pandemic started, we cancelled the following flights. We cancelled a flight to Glasgow, to Belgium, to London, to Florida, to Vancouver, and to New York.
Yes. Yeah.
Already booked. It had to be cancelled because we couldn't travel.
But
Yeah.
I must add that I believe the antidote to
Oh, I think we might have lost.
pandemic is gratitude and hope. We have hope that we'll see the end of it because we have the vaccinations that more and more people are realizing that we really have to take, and gratitude that we for us, you know, that we have so much. And if you look around you, even if you're on your own, even people that are on death row, we give them hope, and we give and they have something to be grateful for, that there are organizations like Amicus and people who are willing to put their life on hold to volunteer and go and help the lawyers who are so overwhelmed. And so anything that gives hope and gratitude is really the solution, even if it turns out that you don't end up saving their life. Knowing that someone cared enough to do that, someone cared and gave them hope, that's big.
That's huge. Yeah.
So I think that in a way, Amicus is the antidote to the pandemic.
I tell you
At
another
least for
thing though
some people.
that's helped us through as well is we've done a couple of sessions with Sunny, because multi-talented. Sunny is also a yoga teacher,
Yeah.
and she's also led us through some meditation sessions as well,
I'm really a yoga teacher and also everything else.
and everything else.
Yeah, I'm not everything else in the yoga. I'm yoga and everything else.
And
That comes
everything
first.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has been, I don't know, we've been talking a lot about self-care and isolation and dealing with isolation as well. And I think your sessions have been amazing and we want to continue
Well, thank
them.
you. I'd love to do that.
But I remember coming to visit you in Ireland with Hannah Gorman, who was on Insta Live earlier on with me, and Ruth Armstrong from Cambridge University.
Oh yeah.
And we did a yoga session. We took your yoga class in Pringle Island. So like
That's
it was
right.
a death penalty community yoga class over in Ireland with Sunny, which was reflecting on it was quite surreal, but it felt like the most natural, normal thing to do at the time.
Well, it was, of course.
Yeah.
It is natural. Well, thank you. That was very nice. I love we haven't been able to meet actually for 2 years.
I know. So we do normally meet more frequently, don't we? And it's been because the pandemic kind of struck when you were just about to come over, and yours was one of actually you did I cancelled your flight to London as well, so you did have a flight booked to London that was cancelled as well. So there's that as well.
Yeah.
Because that was in the March.
But things are starting to open up a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
People are traveling now. Yeah.
We are
people
still doing training online for the moment, though. So.
Yeah, well, that's wise, and that's possible, you know. And very interesting how lawyers have been able to meet with their clients because they can't go in person either, and that's been a big adjustment. Have you talked to any lawyers of the U.S. and how have they adjusted?
It's been really tough, obviously, to meet with clients, and people have really struggled, and also obviously it's impossible to do investigation, interviewing witnesses and things like that over the past year, but yet trials are pushing on ahead. So we're seeing death penalty trials coming through now at some speed, and so the courts haven't stopped churning and working away at pushing through the cases, but at the same time we're not able or allowed to prepare for them properly. So
right, and that'll be grounds, I believe, for appeal later on. You know, anybody whose trial.
You know what? We hope so, but it might not. They might not allow that kind of we'll see anyway. Anyway, we'll see. But let's get back to you guys. Let's get back to you
Okay.
guys. You guys.
So, tell about our love story, Peter.
Yeah, let's do that.
Go ahead.
From how we met?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to start, actually. I was marching through Texas, and with the Journey of Hope from Violence to Healing, and the Murder Victims' Families for Reconciliation. And Sister Helen was scheduled to do a talk in a church. It was George Bush's church, but I don't remember why, but she wasn't able to make it. It's probably flights or something. So I was asked to speak. So that I'm not usually nervous about speaking, but I was a little nervous trying to fill those shoes. But then I realized I didn't really have to fill her shoes. I just had to fill my own, so it was all right. But and then there were some people from Ireland that were part of Amnesty International that were there. And after my talk, they invited me to go to Ireland to their AGM. Well, I was so excited because I hadn't really been able to travel much, since I had been, locked up and all most of my adult life. So I was really excited about that. And our next stop was Tennessee, Nashville, where our friend and fellow activist Steve Earle was visiting. And he's the one who wrote The Galway Girl, which has become very famous. So I told Steve, I'm invited to Ireland. I'm going to be going to Ireland. And he said, when you go to Ireland, you got to meet Peter Pringle. And I was like, okay, Peter Pringle, fine. And he didn't give me any other contact information, nor did he tell me anything about Peter. So I did end up going to Ireland. Now, here you go, Peter. You better tell about how you
in the meantime, so to speak, Steve had been communicating with a man on death row in Texas named Jonathan Noble. And Jonathan Noble asked Steve if he would witness his execution because he'd like to have one person there who didn't hate him. And so Steve did witness the execution and was traumatized by it and came to Ireland and to Galway basically to recover from the experience. He began to frequent a cafe owned by a friend of mine. And one morning I went in and I was introduced to Steve and we told each other a story and we became friends. And this is how when he said to Sonny, you have to talk to Peter Pringle. So then I was at home one day, I had a landline telephone and I got a phone call from this American woman who said to me that her name was Sonny Jacobs and that she was inviting me to come and hear her speak the following Friday. That was on a Wednesday. And she told me where she was going to speak. I asked her what she was going to talk about. She said the death penalty. I said, yes, I'm interested in that. And so I went along and I brought my two friends with me. I was house sharing with somebody. I brought her along and I brought the owner of the cafe, Chris. And when we went into the room above the pub in Galway at 1 o'clock on a Friday, it was empty. And a very large room was empty and the lights were dimmed. And after a little while, the door opened at the far end of the room and this little lady walked in. And I walked over to her and I said, you must be Sonny Jacobs.
And I said, you must be Peter Pringle.
And that's how we met. And then she was going to tell her story. So I listened carefully. And I was deeply affected by it. I was emotional. And she, when it was over, I said...
Wait, it wasn't over yet. And so when I was telling the story, I saw, and first of all, he said to me, I usually sit in the back for these things, but I'm going to sit up front so that you'll have a friendly face to look at. And I thought, oh, wow, how thoughtful. How understanding. That's interesting. And so, but every time I looked over at him, he was crying. This big, strong man was in tears. I thought, I obviously was, touching a nerve. And I actually toned down my talk that day because I could see how deeply it was affecting him. And afterwards, I determined I definitely needed to speak to him. I felt responsible.
And I actually said to Sonny, I never thought I was ever going to meet somebody else who had been wrongly convicted and sentenced to death. And here I was listening to this little woman telling her story. And so afterwards I said to her, I'd like to talk with you. And she said, yes, so would I, but I have to leave in an hour. And I said to her, where are you going? So she told me she was going down to Cork for the AGM of Amnesty the following evening. So I suggested to her that she stay over with me in Galway, and I would guarantee that I would bring her to the meeting the following evening. So she said to me then, oh, I better check with Mary. Mary Lawler was the then Secretary of Amnesty in Ireland.
And she was driving me around Ireland at the time. She was my driver. So you see, it's not my strong suit. Okay, picking men, deciding to go with men. It almost killed me last time. So I didn't exactly trust my own judgment in that. And furthermore, I'm on a strange country, a strange continent where I don't even know anybody, and I'm contemplating going off with a strange man that I just met. So I thought, I don't want to be rude, but so that's when I came up with the thought, well, I have to ask Mary because she might be counting on me to keep her company on the drive. So we went and found Mary, and I said, Mary, Peter has asked me, and anyway, you tell this part.
No, you tell what Mary said.
Oh, so I asked her, if it would be okay, for her. And she said, oh, yes. Oh, Peter. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad, because they felt bad. They weren't going to be able to take me sightseeing, and they didn't actually need me there until the following evening. So Peter said he would drive me, and he would take me sightseeing.
And so what we did was we transferred Sonny's case from Mary's car to mine. And Sonny and I and my two friends, we headed, oh yes, I said to Sonny, would you like to go for a swim? I said, we'd like to go for a swim. And Sonny said, oh, that'd be lovely. Oh, I said, great. So we got.
I thought we meant in a pool with cabanas.
Now this was in the month of April in Ireland. I'd been swimming every day, winter and summer, and so also my two friends, and so the four of us went out to Silver Strand to the beach, and the wind was blowing, and it was April, and so we stripped off and got our gear on and went into the water, and she was dilly-dallying and not doing it very fast.
I was taking my time because I don't even know these people. I just met these people, and I was supposed to take off my clothes in a public place behind a rock in the wind, and go swimming. Oh my God, they had loaned me a bathing suit. So finally, after they kind of did what they were going to do, I did get into the bathing suit, and I went in the water. And when I got about up to my knees, it was so cold that it felt like it was burning. It was so cold. And I knew that I was going to have to go to the hospital because my legs were like gone. But they were out there bobbing up and down, waving at me to come on. And I thought, oh my God, it's bad enough I'm going to have to go to the hospital. I'm not going to let them say that some American wimp couldn't come in the water with them. So the damage is done anyway. So in I went. And finally, thank goodness, when I was only about up to my chest, they decided to come in, and I was splashing around trying to make it look like I was having fun. So then we get back to the beach, and then we're expected to dry off with this towel in the wind and get dressed. And anyway, we got back in the car, and they took me to a really nice place to have something to eat. And I began to warm up, they got me hot soup.
Yeah,
and
seafood chowder. It was a seafood restaurant.
Yeah.
It was very comfortable there, and they had a fire lighting, and after a little while, Sonny thawed out, and we had a really nice meal and a nice time together. And so she came and stayed overnight in my house, and our house rather, because there was two of us in it. And the following morning, our friend Chris had invited us to come to his place for breakfast. So we went there for breakfast. And while we were there, he said to me actually, he said, "Are you going to drive Sonny down to Cork, which would be about a 4-hour drive?" And I said, "Yeah." Oh, he said, "You can't bring her in your old jalopy here." And he put his hand into his pocket and took out the keys of his Mercedes. And he gave me the keys of the Mercedes. "Take it easy, car," he says, "and give her a nice time." And so that's what we did. We headed off in the Mercedes. We drove down. I showed her all the beauty spots along the way. And as we were crossing the Shannon, eating a packed lunch that Chris had made for us, in a car ferry going across the river, Sonny turned to me and she said, "What's your interest in all of this?" Because I hadn't said anything about my background up to then. So I told her, and she asked me, "Well, you seem to have got through very well." She said, "How did you get through?" And I said, "Yoga and meditation." And with that, she lit up.
And I said, boing, in my head, because I knew then that we were meant to meet, that there was something, the universe had planned this surreptitiously, because how, 5,000 miles apart, do we end up meeting each other and find out that he also used yoga, meditation, and prayer to get through his ordeal at being sentenced to death and spending 15 years in prison. It was just, I couldn't believe it. And then we did do he took me to the event, and it was actually a great day. We laughed, we cried, it was comparing stories. It was an amazing time. We have
it was the most extraordinary car journey I've ever made, because at times we were sharing our stories, and at times we were laughing hilariously over odd, funny things that happened.
That only we would think was funny, because...
And at other times we were weeping over the trauma of it all and the emotion. Mm-hmm. But we got down to Cork, and we went to the hotel where the convention was, and Sonny was to speak. And so again, I sat up near the front and I listened to her story, and again I wept because it's so dramatic. And afterwards, everyone was crowding around, you know, and they were all wanting to talk to Sonny and hug Sonny and everything else. And I waited a few minutes, watched all this, and then I moved in and I said, "Excuse me, Sonny, excuse me, folks." I said, "She needs now to go for a cup of tea or coffee." So I brought her down and we had tea together. And Amnesty had booked 2 hotel rooms for us in the hotel across the road. And so when we went over there, we went to my room where there were 2 beds, and each of us sat on one of the beds, and we spent 3.5 hours discussing forgiveness, because forgiveness was the most important things in our lives at that time, and still is. And so we grew to know each other better. And I left her back to her room then, and then the following morning I had to leave early to bring the car back to Galway, but she... And so I left, yeah. And I told her, I said, "Listen," I said, "I don't want you to think that I'm not attracted to you," but I said, "But I'm in a relationship, and I try to live an honorable life, and perhaps sometimes later." And so we parted and made arrangements to meet each other again and connect with each other.
Wait, I have to come in. And that was when I decided I actually was interested in Peter, because the word honorable was really important to me, because at that point in my life, I didn't have time for any kind of anything else. You know, life is too short, and our time and our energy is too precious. So then I knew that I didn't. It wasn't necessarily a romantic interest, although I wouldn't mind. But I knew that I definitely was interested in this person because of what he said.
I became a person of interest, as they say.
Person of interest. And have remained a person of interest all these years on.
Yes. And then we had a sort of long-distance relationship, Sonny in Los Angeles, me in Ireland. And neither of us had any money. And so I organized yoga weekend workshops. And Sonny would come over to Ireland and she'd do the workshops. And
that's how we earned the money to do it.
That's how she got the money to be able to pay. We could pay her fares and her rent while she was away. And when 9/11 happened, when the planes crashed into the Twin Towers in New York, Sonny was actually in an Irish prison teaching yoga.
Yeah.
And she couldn't fly home then because all the flights were stopped. And while that was great because we had an extra week together. But yeah, and so by that time, of course, we'd become intimate, and we discussed whether we could manage to live, should we live together, because neither of us knew, on the time we'd spent in isolation, neither of us knew whether we'd be actually able to share with somebody else. But we decided to give it a shot, and so Sunny went back to the States, and she packed 2 big bags, and she let go of her apartment, and she sold whatever she could of her belongings, gave away what she couldn't sell, and flew back east to Ireland, reversing what her ancestors had done. And so we've been together ever since, happily.
That was like over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's so cool, So that's why I say we're pretty fortunate, and I think our time is up now. But so we just finished the story on time.
We haven't actually even talked about Amicus much, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, there's an interesting thing here, because somebody asked us if we could help a person who'd been wrongly convicted, an American, who was in a bit of trouble. And so he came and stayed with and we were living in a 2-room cottage, and he stayed with us for a month, and we were able to help him. And of course, we were invited to a talk, what's the crowd, I forget, in London, at which, who was there? Annette.
We don't have time to do all of it.
Okay.
Time's up.
Time's up, okay.
Yeah.
And we were introduced to Amicus.
Diana's telling me that we can run over by like 5 or 10 minutes, actually.
Oh, good. Well, that was actually when we found out about Amicus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I tell you who was there. I know who it was. It was Annabelle Timon, I think.
Annabelle, that's who.
Annabelle!
Yeah.
Yes.
Is she here today?
I don't think I've seen her. I think she's in court today, actually, so she'll be catching up online.
She's
so
pretty
Annabelle,
wonderful too.
Yeah,
But
so
Annabelle
again,
introduced
another
us
wonderful
to the
person.
concept of Amicus, and from there, then we connected with you, and we've been connected with Amicus. And Amicus is our favorite organization.
Yep.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For the work you do and for the efforts you put into it, and you, Margot, are an incredible person.
It's a team, it's a team.
So much work.
Yeah, but somebody has to
lead
but
you're the more or less the director.
Yeah.
And it's your energy keeps the others moving. And
I tell you what, I feel, especially things like this, I would never have done an Instagram thing. I had never used Instagram hardly at all, except for to post a few pictures of the cats before today. So, so it really is. You think of all of those guys in the office, or the virtual office as it is now. They are pushing this forward.
It takes a village. It takes a team.
Yeah.
It really
It
does.
does. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned cats, because we have two feral cats who adopted us. One of them, Joey, came in a very severe storm last November, and he sheltered in one of the outside kennels overnight, and in the morning ran away, but I brought him food and he came back, and I kept bringing him food and he's there. And about 2 weeks later, Leah came, and she lived in a different kennel at the other side of the house, and so I feed him. And at first, it's very interesting, the 2 cats couldn't get on together. They were scrabbling and fighting with each other all the time. And then she went into heat, and then they mated.
Kind of like us.
And now they're like an old married couple, the pair of them. You want to see them. They're grooming each other, and they've had kittens. They've 4 beautiful kittens.
Oh, the kittens are extremely cute.
And Joey is looking after the kittens as well as the mother.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful, nice. Yeah. Actually, it's
peace and love always at the Sunny Healing Center.
when we're finished here with this, actually, that would be my next job, is to go out and feed the 6 of them. And it's
kittens.
fascinating when I feed them, because I have one dish for Leah, one dish for Joey, and I go out and I say, Leah first, then Joey, then the kittens. So I put down one dish for Leah and she has it, one dish for Joey and he has it. And of course, all the kittens run to the two dishes. But then I put down the dish for the kittens and I kind of rattle it on the floor and I say, come on, kittens. The four of them turn around, they all diving in the food in their own dish. So that's the way it is. It's a happy place here, you
Yeah.
know.
And that is your hearts that bring that happiness.
Yeah.
And we
Well,
need to do
Thank
a
you.
shout out for the Sunny Centre as well. So what
Thank you.
Peter and Sunny have put their efforts into now today is helping those people who are exonerated or have spent a long time
Wrongly convicted.
incarcerated, wrongly convicted, people who have spent a long time in incarceration, and they provide a sanctuary to get those people to a place that they can
To help them to heal
be
and
helped and
to find their way
That's what
into
I
the
was thinking
world
of.
again.
It's a place of
yeah.
healing.
Yes.
To overcome the deep sense of disconnectedness that released prisoners have when they come back into society.
And not just in America. We do this in
Oh, absolutely.
everywhere that it's needed everywhere. But we're currently working with 6 countries.
That's right. And only a few days ago, we had a Zoom with 2 people from Pakistan, and they're working towards opening a Sunny Center in
A
Pakistan.
healing center, because everywhere there are wrongful convictions, and most especially when they've been sentenced to death.
Yeah.
In fact, we have the healing center, the community, the living center in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
And right now there are 2 people there who were wrongly sentenced to death. So it's so important.
You know what? We've got a couple of questions coming through. Actually,
Go
the
on.
question. Oh, when will the next yoga session be with Sunny?
Oh boy! Yes, that's my question too. So Margot's going to let us know when she can
We need to
arrange
sort it out, don't we? We have talked about it. We've just not got a date in the calendar yet, have we? We just need to get some dates in the calendar and do it. Maybe we'll try it on Instagram next time. I don't know. Now we've perfected it. I don't know.
Oh, like it's like live.
Yeah,
Well,
like
that's
live.
an idea.
Well, we do it
Yeah.
live on the Zoom, but it's just yeah, on the Zoom.
Yeah, but Instagram live, everybody can come in.
Yeah,
Everybody can. Anybody who tunes in.
also it can get recorded.
It's a different thing.
Wow, yeah.
Well, anyway, everybody, this is great. It's great to be able to connect like this. I hope that we've inspired a lot of people to volunteer.
You have. So your names have
work
come up,
for
as I
Amicus.
said, all the way through training, every single training, and you've been involved in training many hundreds of people who have gone through the training and heard
That's
you
awesome.
speak, and
Thanks to
they
you.
are all inspired by you. You can't help but be inspired by you. And
Well, thank you. Oh, there's lots of hearts flying up
there's
there.
lots of love for Sunny and Peter.
Cool.
So show your love for Sunny and Peter. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
we're going to, if there are a couple of questions, we can take some. But
yeah, let's do the questions.
If there are any other questions,
that's a lovely
people are just giving love.
Pencil drawing behind you. That's
George Stinney.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Is that Andrew?
No, that's George Stinney. Actually, that's from
George.
my
the young man.
Because I'm at home at the moment, obviously, as many people are. But my home has been turned into the office because we've closed our London office for the moment, and everything from the London office has come to my house. So there's a few things like this big board behind me from an exhibition that we did in a temple a few years back, that there is nowhere to put it. So it's just become one of my backdrops, and I've also got all of the
it's a good one.
Art boards. I've got a pile of death row art that
hang on, Barney.
I need to do some stuff with and things like that. So it's
there's
lots of boxes.
Let's get to the questions because Barney's telling me it's time for his dinner.
I think the questions have gone now, so we can.
Oh no!
Yeah, sorry.
But, you mean you can't find them?
No, I think Anyone else got any questions? I just sort of like, just checking.
Stick your
Anyone got any
questions in there
Okay.
again real quick, whoever it was. Stick
I
your
think we did.
question
It might
in.
have
We'll
just
get
been.
it.
It might have just been about yoga, which is
Oh,
totally
probably.
fine as well.
Okay, well,
But
we're definitely going to circle through.
if anybody would like to actually hear the Sunny and Peter's full story, first of all, the complete story or most complete story is within their
Books.
books. So Stolen Time
Oh,
and
right,
About
books,
Time
books.
are both available for sale through Amicus. And
That's
at the
right.
moment, please be patient
And
with
that
our
helps
postal.
Amicus.
Yes,
That
it
will help
does. But
Amicus,
be
yes.
patient with our postal service, because our postal service as well, because of our lack of office at the moment, is me. So,
Okay.
so be patient if you order books, but please do. I would love to send you a book. And also at our training. So if you come to training, then you will hear Sunny and Peter talk about their actual story.
And they get a
But I
signed bookmark.
enjoyed. Yes, and we've got assigned bookmarks as well for anyone who buys books. And yeah, so thank you very much. And thank you, Sunny, thank you, Peter, for all your support over the years, for being part of the Amicus family. I'm getting quite a few personal messages on my WhatsApp that are saying, I miss Sunny and Peter, Charlie said hi. Yeah.
Well, you know, as I said, you're the most important group of people that we know.
Oh,
And it's a privilege to be associated with you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, we'll end on that wonderful note.
I think that's a good
Okay,
Thank you both for taking the time at short notice.
Okay, talk to you again.
Brilliant.
All
Talk
the
to you
best.
soon. See you soon. Bye. Thanks
Bye,
everybody for
everybody.
participating.
Lots of love.
Long
Bye.
how do you get out?